My style is ridiculous.
Skibidi Toilet is a viral internet sensation that has taken YouTube lovers by surprise. It originally started off as a joke where a human head appears in the bowl of a toilet and scat sings. However, it eventually escalated into an epic YouTube series in which these singing toilets are at war with an army of cyborgs with electrical appliance heads. But what are these toilets? The true origin behind them still remains unknown. There are small bits of evidence behind their origin, but nothing has completely explained it. In this theory, we shall explore the origin behind the evil Skibidi Toilet army. To start off, we take a look at the likeliest suspect behind the origin of the singing toilets. The chief scientist. He is the mastermind behind all the power that the toilets have at their fingertips. If they had fingertips. But who is the scientist? What is his backstory? What happened to him? His name is Professor John Powerhouse. He has a PhD in physics, biology, and even chemistry. He passed with distinction on every science test he has ever taken, from high school to university. After he graduated, he got a job at the university that he studied in as one of the teachers. He was the smartest science teacher that the university ever had. But that didn't mean his students liked him. They thought the way he taught science was too complicated, and did everything they could to try and avoid his class. This made Professor Powerhouse very angry. He suddenly began to regret being so good at science. He was about to hang up his lab coat when he was offered a new job opportunity elsewhere. He was given the opportunity to work at a top-secret research facility. So secret that even speaking of its name was considered a felony.
Is he referring to Area 50?
No. It was a secret lab in Alpha Hills. Professor Powerhouse quit his job at the university and accepted the new one. He told his work buddies that he was required at a different university, but he didn't tell them the real reason why he was quitting, because he was told not to tell anyone about this new job. Professor Powerhouse became the head scientist in the top secret lab where his new job was. They were working on an experiment to open a gateway between dimensions.
Okay, we're all set. Proceed with phase 1, Kathy.
Okay, opening the gate.
The experiment was ordered by the head governor of the lab. His name was Gerald Manford, or as they called him around the facility, Gman.
You have no idea what scum.
Those who worked in the lab were required to film the experiments that they conducted just as long as they were still kept secret.
The things have to remain secret.
However, the experiments eventually became too dangerous for the camera crew. So using their engineering skills and their ability to build living body tissues over a metal endoskeleton, they created a robotic filming crew with all the necessary equipment instead of heads. Speakers, televisions, and of course, cameras. By controlling these cyborgs, the crew could easily film their experiments safely. After that small side experiment, they carried on with their main one. The experiment took years, but they finally did it. They activated the gateway between dimensions, and then something came out from the other side. It was hideous. It was a big, blobby, alien-like creature that sang a very annoying song, and it puked out a very gross liquid. Professor Powerhouse was amazed. Mr. Manford was very impressed. They moved the monster into a big study chamber so they could study its behavior. But when they were moving it into the chamber, a mouse crawled in with the creature, and Professor Powerhouse dropped a beaker into the chamber. They didn't notice the mouse or the beaker as they walked out and closed the door. Suddenly, when they were watching the beast from behind a window, they saw the mouse crawl into the beaker. They were about to open the door and deal with the problem when the alien coughed up some more of the ugly, gross ooze, and then it began to sing the annoying song again. The ooze reacted to the song. It then covered the mouse and the beaker, and then the mouse fused with the beaker and started singing the song too. Manford and Powerhouse were shocked. They took notes on what just happened immediately. If the monster's song was being played anywhere near the ooze that it keeps spewing up, it would fuse life forms with inanimate objects. Mr. Manford took a recording of the song and he listened to it over and over to get more details. But this was a bad idea. Listening to the song over and over again made Mr. Manford insane, and it made him want to keep experimenting with the ugly creature in ways that it could lead to catastrophic events. On the next day, Mr. Manford ordered Professor Powerhouse to get a sample of the monster's vomit. So he contacted a cameraman cyborg and used it to get a sample of the monster's vomit. When the sample was retrieved, Mr. Manford told Professor Powerhouse to experiment with it on humans. He was mortified. "Are you insane?" he bellowed. Mr. Manford didn't like that. "Just follow your orders, John, or you're fired," he said. Professor Powerhouse did not care what Gerald said, so he changed the passcode to the monster's chamber and flushed the sample down the toilet. Professor Powerhouse didn't care if that cost him his job. He didn't want to do anything illegal with this monster. But little did he know that he already had. The sample got into the sewers, and it began to spread all across the city's pipelines. It eventually got into the sea, and began to spread across the world. Then it travelled up sewage disposal pipes and then into every sewer system in the world. This went unnoticed for quite some time though. One day when Mr. Manfred was washing his hands in the bathroom of the research facility, another scientist came in to use the toilet. But as he walked in, the beaker mouse from earlier came in as well and started singing the song. When he sat down, the monster's vomit reacted and sucked the scientist into the toilet. Gerald turned around in shock. Then the scientist's head popped out of the bowl of the toilet and started singing the alien song. Since the song was just the alien making weird musical noises, the toilet man scat sung the alien song. Manfred was amazed. Suddenly the toilet broke free from its pipes and escaped from the facility. The toilet ran across the streets, singing the annoying song wherever it went, and if anybody sitting on their toilets heard the song, they would become one of those human-headed toilets. Some of them appeared bigger than the others for some unknown reason. If anybody heard the song but wasn't sitting on a toilet though, they would start seeing things, feel dizzy, or even go slowly insane, like what happened to Mr. Manfred. When Professor Powerhouse learned about the outbreak, he immediately knew that it was because of the alien creature and its vomit that was responsible for the orgy. However, Professor Powerhouse blamed himself and Manfred for launching the experiment that eventually led to the peculiar outbreak. And not wanting to face the consequences or the wrath of what he had created, he took his own life. After the toilets went out on their rampage, Gerald Manfred wanted to try a new kind of experiment to see how mankind would survive against the attacks from the toilets. So he thought it was a good idea to get another sample of the alien's vomit. But when he went to get the sample, he discovered that John Powerhouse had changed the passcode. He was furious. He called Professor Powerhouse on his phone, but there was no answer. Gerald bolted into his office to see if he was there, only to discover that he was dead. Gerald was shocked, but he had a little idea to make this new experiment work. Gerald Manfred dragged Professor Powerhouse's corpse into the bathroom, which had 2 toilets left in it. He placed the head of the body in one of them and brought the beaker mouse in to sing the song. The toilet swallowed John's corpse whole, and then all of a sudden, Professor John Powerhouse had become one of the singing toilet monsters that he had created, as well as bringing them back to life. Gerald looked down at John, killed the beaker mouse, and explained his new idea to him. Becoming a toilet made Professor Powerhouse more intrigued in the invasion, so he agreed with Gerald's wish. Gerald Manfred was about to leave the bathroom, but Toilet John grabbed him by the leg with his teeth. Manfred screamed in pain, and Toilet John shoved his foot deep into the second toilet. Toilet John then began to sing the alien song, which turned Mr. Manfred into a singing toilet freak. And so begins the reign of
Chief Scientist and Gman.
As the days passed, Gman and scientists admired their work, but believed that the virus wasn't spreading quick enough. So using their knowledge of the song, they ordered their toilet army to replace restaurant seats with toilets, each containing the alien's vomit. Gman and scientists knew that humans would see the toilets as normal chairs, since most of them have already heard the song and are now seeing the world differently. When the time was right, the toilets entered the restaurants and began singing their song, turning everybody sitting on the toilets into the singing toilets. But although this allowed the virus to spread quicker, Gman and scientists still believed that the virus wasn't spreading quick enough, and believed the way that they were doing it was too much work. So, using a DJ that John Powerhouse knew at school for doing parties, they made a flying toilet DJ that plays the song really loudly. The DJ toilet flew all across the world, playing the song and spreading the virus like wildfire. But as it flew around the world, it began to gain a knowledge of all earthly languages. When the toilet returned to base, it taught Gman and scientists the languages and reported that the virus had spread across the world. They were very pleased, but they believed that nobody should know what they were talking about. So they began communicating in a new language that the toilets created. They called it Skibidi. As for the humans, they were not managing very well with the new way of life that they were living in. The toilets were deadly, and even going to the toilet was dangerous. It eventually became too dangerous to even go outside, but the humans knew that they couldn't just stay indoors 24/7 and let the singing toilets take over the world. They needed a plan. Suddenly, the staff from the secret research facility knew exactly what to do. They reprogrammed the filming crew of cyborgs to fight. They called them the Appliance Alliance. They went outside to fight the evil army of Skibidi toilets that roamed throughout the world, and they built 3 giants to lead each race. Titan Cameraman, Titan Speaker Man, and the all-powerful Titan TV Man. Then it was all downhill from there. This theory was made up of the lore behind the Skibidi toilet's origin that was visible at the time of its release. It still remains entirely unknown what the true origin behind the Skibidi toilet army is, but this is just what I can see. What do you think?